Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're at 4:02. I would like to call this October 9th, 2025 meeting of the Kane County Judicial and Public Safety Strategic Planning and Technology Commission to order. I'm going to ask, please, for our recording secretary to call the roll.
Barrero, Conant, Myrna Molina,
Myrna present.
Nydia Molina,
Here.
Hain, Villa, Belton,
Here.
Mosser, Wallers,
Here.
Pirog, Roth,
Here.
Raka.
Here. By my count, that is I need to ask if there is an objection, and the record should note that Myrna Molina is attending by audio remotely. Are there any objections to that audio attendance? Hearing none, Ms. Molina, I need to say, I'm sorry, I have to remember to say first name because we have two, to make sure that the record is clear. Ms. Myrna Molina is allowed to attend electronically. That request is approved. She may participate in our discussions and vote accordingly. First item then, going to the approval of the minutes from the July 10th meeting. That was sent out electronically on Monday, I believe. Does anyone not have a copy? Because I do have one extra copy that I have here if you did not receive it and you'd like to look at it beforehand.
Yeah, I've got copies too.
Roger has copies as well, Mr. Fonstock, thank you. Hearing none, then I would ask, is there a motion to approve the minutes from the July 10th, 2025 meeting? So moved by Barrero,
Second.
second by Felton. Any discussion of this? Corrections, discussion? Hearing none, on this particular matter, there being no suggestions or corrections, I'm going to just ask for a voice vote on this. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes to approve the minutes. They are approved. I'm going to inquire of the recording secretary. Was the sheet put out for public comment? And you didn't receive any requests previously? There being no requests for public comment, then we'll move on to the next item. No partner reports or partners present. We'll move to the next item, presentations and announcements. The first announcement that I would like to make is to ask you to join me in remembering Mr. Dale Berman, who was a member of this commission. He passed away last week. Mr. Berman was a dedicated public servant, serving for decades the city of North Aurora, and then coming over to Kane County and working very hard on committees and as a county board member and on this commission. His insight and his experience, I think he told us at one point that he had actually sold the very first IBM computer to the county in the course of his professional life. And his insight and experience was always welcomed and appreciated. And he's certainly going to be missed on this commission as well as in other areas of public service and his family and friends. I also have at least the pleasure now of introducing two new members. The first member being Mr. Bill Roth. Mr. Roth is filling a vacant position by appointment of Madam Chair under the ordinance as a Kane County board member. He is the elected board representative of the 12th district, or District 12, I should say, which includes parts of St. Charles, South Elgin, Wayne, and is there also?
That's it.
He currently serves as the elected vice chair of the board, as well as his other committee assignments. He has years, I didn't want to say decades, but I think it's decades of experience professionally in the area of information technology in the private sector as well. And if you may recall, Mr. Roth has attended many of our meetings of interest in any event. And so, Mr. Roth, thank you for your willingness to serve, and we welcome.
You're welcome, and I'm happy to be here.
I am also pleased to introduce Nydia Molina, who is present here today. Ms. Molina fills the member slot as the attorney representative from the Kane County Bar Association, who is appointed by the chair of the county board and the chief judge jointly. She is currently the Kane County Bar Association vice president. And she works currently, she is an assistant corporation counsel for the city of Aurora. Her prior experience, in addition to years in the public sector, includes experience as a Kane County assistant state's attorney. And I believe you were the first attorney that was hired by CASA as a guardian ad litem attorney to go into court with CASAs that appeared in abuse and neglect court. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so we welcome you as the Bar Association representative, and thank you for all your prior experience and service, especially serving children in our county.
Thank you.
The next item for presentation is our current status on the Odyssey case management and an Axon report, if we're ever able to have that. Mr. Feinstock?
Yeah, just a real quick report. We spent some time this week working with the circuit clerk's office on the discussion about Portal, which is the public access portal for people to get information from the court record. And Circuit Clerk Barrero was working with us and basically giving us direction that we want to try to pursue the new product from Tyler, which I believe is Court Access or something. They changed the name. Yeah. It used to be a portal product that came with the system, and now they're going to I'd describe it as a more mature product that has a little bit more features. It's a little bit different. It has some opportunities for us to do some additional control for who accesses records and who accesses the information. So we're going to be working on that with the circuit clerk and the judiciary to try to get that into place as soon as we can. There's nothing about the current product that we know of that will stop working, but we certainly don't want to be in a position where we're on a product that's unsupported. So that's where we're at. The product they're using right now will eventually, I believe at the end of this year, it's unsupported. So sooner we get onto the newer platform, the better. We'll have some testing and some verification to do parallel to the production, but that should happen. I would say in the coming months, we'll be switching that over. I don't know, Teresa, do you want to say anything more?
I would just like to add that the reason that we do need to purchase a new portal is because the outside agencies use the portal in order to access complaints and that. And they would have no way of accessing that in order to do their job. We wouldn't see any tickets coming through. So we have to get the new portal. We have no choice. There are additional benefits with the new portal, but I have suggested, and IT also agreed, that we'll wait on that till we find out more options that are useful through it. We want to keep it kind of what we already do now. We don't want to upgrade and cause a lot of confusion. So we're just going to go straight into it, hopefully by the end of the year.
questions on this portal issue or development of either Mr. Fonstock or Madam Clerk Barrero? Okay, anything else on our
Yeah,
report?
there's some additional information. We're working on also planning for the eventual upgrade of the next version of the product. We're on, I think it's 2023. There'll be subsequent releases of 24 and 25. And I think right now we're trying to do planning in 2026 for the next upgrade. And I don't know if we'll start the next major upgrade until the latter part of 26 or early 27. And that's when the question will be whether or not you look at a hosted version versus on-premise. There is a version we could go to in between, and there's been some debate about whether taking that upgrade now while it's available versus a larger upgrade at the end of the year would be worth it. Because you had to go through all the testing, all the verification, and then you turn around and say, I'd like to do it again because we're going to switch to the hosted platform. So we're going to be working with Monica from the Circuit Clerk's office and Teresa's team and the judiciary and all the partners, try to figure out what's the best thing for the partners to do that. And I think, you don't want to try to do these major upgrades every year. The battle fatigue of doing it just is probably not worth the effort. But we have a similar discussion going on that it will be. So that discussion, I think, will be affected by this commission. And I wanted to bring that up because this commission pays for these things. And ultimately, when we switch platforms, if we decide to go with the hosted solution, it will be a big change. It will increase the cost of expense for supporting a recurring revenue model and licensing model. And we've seen numbers that at least for the hosted solution and licensing and maintenance come close to maybe a doubling of the cost. We're at probably around 600,000 in licensing and maintenance right now, and it might approach $1 million if they're hosting it. Now, the good news is there's some things that we won't do internally, so there might be some savings, but as Monica and others can probably tell you, we still end up carrying the bucket. We have to do all the testing, validation, lots of the interfaces that we custom write, Echo and others, we have to continue to support those integrations. So we really need to understand the kind of the cost benefit and what will be affected by it negatively, what will not work as well, or even hopefully we can get everything to work. But that's something that will come back through this commission when we get ready to renew the software and get ready to do that. It will be, how do you fund a change like that? And it might mean that we have to reorganize some of the expenses. It might mean that we have to ask the board for funding to do that, or we have to figure out a place to put that expense because it's substantial. The amount of money involved, you'll see in a minute from the budget, is not significant enough to take care of it.
Ms. Barrero.
I just would like to add, Roger, if you could explain, it's not something like we're thinking, well, this will be a great idea. The problem is that Tyler will not support the system anymore after 27.
Fourth quarter or something like that.
Something like that. But there's so many agencies or municipalities, et cetera, that are using it that we don't think they'll be able to hold us, hold to that date. We're crossing our fingers actually that it will get stretched out a little bit because I think they bit off a little more than Tyler can chew. But we do have to, we talked a little bit about this at the last meeting. We do have to be aware of it for the future because it's going to be a substantial cost. And we need support, whether IT is doing it or Tyler, but we need to know what is all about.
So if I can just sort of recap, so I know I understand it, because this is not my love language. So you're saying that in the 2024 and 2025 upgrades that you're working on, you hope to have finished sometime in 2026, and you're planning on hoping to start the 2026 upgrades in 2026, maybe towards the end of it.
Yes, and the question is whether or not when do you make the decision to move to this hosted service?
Okay,
So you would, ideally, you wouldn't do an upgrade here and then move to the hosted service and do it twice. You would, try to do this in one move.
okay, so are you saying that the 2026 upgrade decision should be made before you decide whether or not you're going to a hosted service or not?
It'll be one, yeah, I think it'll be one decision. That's up to the circuit clerk and the judiciary, but we're gonna recommend probably that we do it one time. And if we're gonna move to the hosted platform, the decision would be to go to probably the 2025 version, I think is the one that they were targeting. And it would be a move in late 26 or early 27. And if we're gonna do it, we would say we're gonna go to hosted, or if we can't tolerate that because we can't get the service level agreement and contracts that we think are necessary, then we would have another discussion with them about how are they going to support us and maintain us. Because right now that the life cycle timeline that they've presented, I believe it shows the 2025 product as either on premise or hosted. So it's here or it's in a data center somewhere. And I believe they show it as end of life for support at the end of 2027. So we have time, but it takes, I mean, Monica can tell you, it takes us 9 months to plan and do this. And then, if you're changing to something totally new, that 9 months is probably aggressive.
And funding is a major issue. as-
Yes.
And so actually then, the timeline of the decision-making after the justice managers partners make their preliminary work. And by justice manager partners, I'm talking about the chief judge, state's attorney, the public defender, the clerk, and the sheriff. That's the justice managers that are in King County. That's their informal group that meets monthly, okay? After their position and that is done after consultation with IT, then that would then come to this commission for further
Be for the budget, Madam Chair.
further approval and budget.
Yes.
Recommend it. Okay. So hearing your timeline then, this is going to be something that is going to arise next year in 2026. So for purposes of this commission, when can we expect that this should be given more attention and time other than just chatting about it? Would that be like the April meeting? I would think it's going to have to come before July because July is the budget for 2027. So are we talking about?
I think it'll be
April?
both meetings. I think that'll be the topic of the day will be what is the direction.
Okay,
So we will be talking about, we'll be getting the proposals for the costs, and there's costs with Tyler, and then there's costs with all the interfaces and other services we have to come up with. And then there's even costs for time that we're gonna have to deal with retraining and staff that has to sit for things when we don't have people available for court, because you can't train them while they're on the job necessarily. It's a little bit,
okay. So the April
Yeah.
2026 meetings, if not earlier,
yes.
necessary to be called, would be sort of the latest that this has to
Yeah.
come to this commission's attention. Accurate?
Yeah, and there will be a proposal from Tyler for what they believe all their costs are for the migration and services. And then there'll be another estimate that we would have for all the other things. And that's where we have to do a lot of homework. So it'll take us some time. So I think April's fair to have an,
And hosted platform is just another word for the cloud, right?
it's like a data center that they operate in the continental US.
Subject rates, got it.
Yeah.
They call it SaaS, Judge.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're not quite there yet, but that's what they'd like to call it.
Yes.
They're getting there.
Okay.
Uh,
All right, that's my questions. Any questions of Mr. Feinstock or Ms. Barrero? Okay,
so
anything else?
yeah,
other
we
than
talked about
podcast?
Portal. We talked about the upgrade to the hosted platform or the cloud. And then there is another piece that we're going to be discussing with the sheriff's office about corrections. Tyler has a New World product for jail and a Tyler product for corrections. And when we bought Odyssey, we stayed with the New World jail platform. And I think at this time we need to discuss Tyler corrections. And we have not had those conversations. It was very preliminary, but it's in the same time frame. And I think if Sheriff Hain were here, or the sheriff in the future, if we get that far along, it would be important to make that consideration now. You would move to enterprise corrections, which is tightly integrated with Odyssey or enterprise court, as opposed to being more integrated with the JMS and the sheriff police records or sheriff records. It kind of shifts the connections more towards court as opposed to, yeah. So if you want to see who's in custody or you want to see something out of jail, it's more tightly tied to the court record than it is to like a mobile computer in the car. And it's just a good question to ask while we're doing this. So between the access portal, the enterprise court upgrade, and corrections, those are three big things that from IT, and I think the people here, we need to partner and get a good plan together. We have about a year.
Okay.
That's a summary.
So does this decision on the enterprise connections or corrections, instead changing from the New World that they have to this enterprise corrections, does that have to be made in conjunction with or
No.
before this hosted platform? Or
No,
two
and
different
it's so
things?
early. I mean, it was brought to us as a question during one of the user group meetings with the corrections. So it's still very early, but in thinking about it, it's something that we need to go through with Sheriff Hain and then figure out, is that something we want to actually discuss doing? I mean, it's a real question, but if there's some funding or how we're going to fund that also plays into the same questions. Because it will cost money, but those are the three big things that we would be looking at.
Any questions regarding that? I actually have one related question, but I'm going to direct it to Ms. Masser on this. Ms. Masser, the sentencing orders are multi-page complex now, and actually both Ms. Masser and Ms. Koenig can address this. The sentencing orders are so complex because you have all of the different credits that can come to a defendant depending on what they complete in the county jail. How do you get that information right now?
So we have a contact within the sheriff's office who will give us a letter that says what their days are that they've had, along with if they've been given credit for completion of treatment or other programming. So they'll provide us a document that we use to calculate everything.
All right, so Ms. Koenig.
So I will say it's a lot for the jail to do that. And so basically what we do now is you have to give them a lead time of about 2 weeks, which sometimes can cause some issues in court, because if your client wants to plead, you may need to be waiting for that letter for to get that credit. So it is a lot for the sheriff's office to keep track of all that.
So theoretically speaking, if the sheriff's office had an integrated system with the Odyssey system, you could just get that information because it would already be within the system and that you could plug into a sentencing order, true?
Yes.
Any other questions then? All right. Mr. Fonstock, anything else on that report?
Oh, that's it.
Axon is actually a state's attorney.
Yes, and that we don't have a real status report for that. There's it is budgeted as an expense in the 127 fund. I checked it, and I'm going to talk to Charles because we were trying to determine whether that's more appropriate for 125, which is public safety side, and we'll look at that and see where it fits. But right now it is in 127. I went and looked it up.
Could you explain what the Axon is, and then maybe if Ms.
Sure.
Masser has anything,
or
or
maybe-
Ms. Masser can maybe do that?
It's our discovery system that we have, that we receive discovery from police departments and then share it to Defense Council. Most everyone in King County Police Department wise uses Axon for their discovery. The Aurora Police Department has it. That's where they keep their body cameras, squad cameras, any other discovery, including police reports, and it's all just transferred over to us electronically. Roger would have to explain how that happens because I still don't understand how it gets over to us in the way that it does. But then we're able to share all of that. We can also do edits to it within the system. It creates transcripts for things, helps out sometimes with translation. And then that is how the Public Defender's Office and private defense attorneys get discovery from us.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to the next item, 7C. Mr. Feinstock, can you just give us an update on the
Sure.
2025 year-to-date budget report?
Sure. Blair, I don't know if you want to pull the slides up. I sent it out to you in an email, so everybody should have received it this afternoon. So the first one is just the budget performance report, and I put a note in there for everyone that we are in this. If you look at the far bottom right, which is drawing out, it's in parentheses and it shows a negative number of 158,947, and that piqued my interest. So we dug deeper into the journal entries. And what we found is that there's invoices that were coded wrong and posted to the public safety budget. And we're going to correct those. So the correct number, in my opinion, is about $500,000 positive. It's not negative. There's 4 invoices that were posted for other software to the 127 fund that should have been posted to a different line item. And we're fixing those right now. But it was roughly $657,000 over 4 quarterly payments. They are Tyler payments that go for a different set of software to a different line item. And it was good. We just happened to be looking at the performance reports and realized that this was over, and it prompted us to verify all the transactions. So there, if you go to the next page. Next page. This is the budget report for fiscal year 2026. It is very similar to previous years' reports. We do have the software license cost at the bottom of this. And if you look at the software license cost far right, you'll see the $1,247,000. That is the lion's share of this fund. Most of the money goes into the software license. And then the top line, which is 352,000, that is a group of people that support the product and the upgrades and reporting and interfaces. So those are the 2 main components for this budget. Blair, if you go to the next slide, and if you roll down to the bottom right again, you'll see that the total for software licensing, all of the services, we also include sending people from the respective offices involved to the Tyler Connects conference, which I think is still really important because that's where you hear about what the products do when they're going to release them. But the total amount is $2,030,000 on the bottom right side. So that's the budget. That's what was in the submitted budget that is going through finance and going through exec, and the budget that we discussed last meeting. The last year's budget was amended and total budget was 1.877, and we're at about 2,030,000. A lot of that is attributed to Axon, additional consulting services with Tyler for the client success manager and the other consultant. And then we're also going to be, I think we're paying for the conversion and some access portal things that we have to do. So it's a little bit increased. I'm trying to see if it's up there. I'll have to talk to Charles, but I believe, we don't have the fund balance listed up there. There is sufficient fund balance and revenue for the budget as it was submitted. And I think that covers it for the budget report, if you have any questions, but the budget is still going through the process. The question about Axon and where we pay it, since we've already approved the budget, I don't know if we would have to reconsider if we change that at this point, but it would be a reduction in this budget. It'd be lower if we moved Axon to another budget.
Okay.
We can let the board know if that's the case, or we can leave it as is. And then if we don't spend it on Axon because we put it somewhere else, you would just have that $190,000 in a software license budget. If you didn't use it as software license, you'd move it and use it for something else. But we can work through that.
So if I understand what you're saying, everything is close to on budget right now
Yeah.
for 2025,
Yes.
and total expenses at the end of 2025 should be within the budgeted amounts.
Yes. We're under by 500,000 right now.
Any questions to pose
We got about 6 weeks.
concerning our year to date? Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Old business,
Oops, I talked about it.
status of the 2026 submitted budget.
It's in finance and it'll be going to a full county board in November. And they'll be approving of it. We haven't had any questions about the 2026 budget for this. I think the overwhelming discussions have been about other things. So, but we'll be there if there's any questions about it. And it certainly is, been a recurring, consistent expense for the last 10 years or so. And I don't see any issues with it. It's a funded special revenue expense from the judicial sales tax. So it's not in contention with anybody else.
Now, if you do this change for moving Axon from 127 to 125, that's part of the sheriff's budget, isn't it?
It's actually a public safety sales tax for public safety. We use it for a variety of things for the sheriff's software. So the sheriff's Tyler systems are paid out of that as well. And then there's another portion of the public safety sales tax that goes to a large budget for vehicles and car replacements. But there is a software component, and that's where we would try to fit that with public safety software versus judicial software.
Okay, but that's managed under the
Separate.
sheriff's budget portion.
It's
or
managed under
AG's.
sheriff manages the vehicle side of it. We manage the software.
Okay, so
so
it's
we would-
actually an IT
We would
budget.
be editing the software budget.
Got it.
if- Yeah.
Any questions? Okay. Old business B, election of chairperson. At the last meeting, I reminded everyone that my current term of 2 years is ended, so to speak, although really the term doesn't end until the new chair takes effect on the first meeting following the expiration of the old chair's term. But in any event, it should be up for election today. And I indicated that if anybody was interested in it, I'd be happy to disclose what it entails or the information or whatever. I did not get any calls. Okay, but it's up to the group to elect the chair. And so someone will have to make a nomination and there'll have to be a vote and discussion and go forward. So
I would nominate Judge Braca to continue as chairperson.
I would second that.
motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay.
Discussion. We need history for these dollars, and we need history with the CMS, and you have that history. So I think you are the best suited person for the position.
Well, thank you. Any other discussion? Call the question. On the matter of the vote of the nomination of Judith Braca for chairperson for this commission, I'm going to ask, please, that the recording secretary call the roll for the vote. Madam Secretary.
Ferrero,
Yes.
Conant,
Yes.
Myrna Molina,
Yes.
Nydia Molina,
Yes.
Felton,
Yes.
Mosser,
Yes.
Wallers,
Yes.
Pirog,
Yes.
Roth,
Yes.
Braca.
Yes. Always vote for yourself if you're on the ballot.
Agreed.
Eyes have it. Oh, actually, did you call Ms. Molina online?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that one. Okay, thank you. The ayes have it. Then I thank you and I will do my best to continue on and hopefully guide through any transitions if one is going to be made and help us find funding sources if any of our funding sources are taken away in the future. The next matter on the agenda to be addressed on old business is amendment of the ordinance. There are some issues that are still being addressed in terms of the ordinance amendment. I would like to thank Ms. Mosser for assigning this to the Civil Division, and it is being worked on by an Assistant State's Attorney, Stephen Ford, who has been very helpful and attentive and did a lot of homework in reading the original case, which led to this commission, Seiler versus Kane County Board, the settlement agreement, all of the other ordinances. It has been a pleasure to talk with him and he has really done his work. And he did other investigation on it. Very impressive and I appreciate that. You've gotten a draft copy of that. And Claire, if you could just turn, I would just like to highlight the changes that are really the most important changes for now, although there's others pending. One of the changes is on page 2, that is section 2, number 11, the representation of the Kane County Bar Association member that's appointed jointly by the chief judge and the county board chair. The recommendation was it was requested by the Bar Association if we would consider making it an ex officio position for their vice president so that they would have continuity and knowledge in terms of their executive officers, and they would not have to be searching for willing members within the association to take on these obligations. And having discussed that matter with the individuals who are responsible for making this appointment, that being the chief judge and Madam Chair, they indicated a willingness to do that. And the way this has been done in the past, since about 2012, when I became chief judge, I have been taking on acting as the intermediary between, I was chief judge and I worked with the county board chair. And then when another chief judge took over, I still acted as intermediary for those other chief judges between the chief judge and whatever county chair there was, and the Bar Association to get their nomination, to get the different resumes and to effectuate this and inform the relevant parties. And so changing this to an ex officio position would seem to be a matter that would be of efficiency. It would satisfy the representation of a Kane County Bar Association member because that's an elected position. Ms. Molina is elected by her peers as vice president to then go into the president's slot. So she's certainly, that position is certainly representative. And it just makes a lot of sense in terms of continuity for the organization. So that's a little bit background on this. We don't have to vote on this today because the final form is not yet done. But that's one of the changes I wanted to point out. That's important. The next one is on page 3. What is currently section 10 text. And because then we renumber. This is actually important. Our name is right now, the Judicial and Public Safety Strategic Planning and Technology Commission. And that strategic planning is not really related to the court management, case management system at all. That was added previously because it was the idea of the then county board chair and the chief judge at the time that members of this commission would be the same members who would make determinations and recommendations for building additions at the Judicial Center campus. And not only the Judicial Center campus, but also the Kane County Branch Court, and I think one other location, maybe the Juvenile Justice Center. And so the idea was, because you already had sort of a captive audience of some of the justice managers here, they increased the size of the commission and also then broadened the charge of the commission to that paragraph 10 that you see there now, to talk about the steps necessary to effectuate future build out. And so that's not related at all to the case management aspect for which this commission was originally founded back in 2011. And so over the years, this commission has really never addressed any of that outside of the time when it was expanded back in 2014. Nothing ever came of that to increase or change the size of the Judicial Center. And this commission was never called upon to do any other of the work involving that. And actually it was 3rd Street Courthouse. It didn't talk about the Juvenile Justice Center. That was not included, but that's actually part of the campus. So I guess technically it was. But this commission was never called upon to have any input to any of those issues. And so it's really superfluous and really takes away from the original charge and purpose of this commission. Doesn't make sense. And so after consultation with various members, it's going to be submitted for your eventual vote that we take this subsection out completely and just leave the charge of this commission as it relates to the case management system. Because there was no other provisions on this. It doesn't talk about recommendations for funding for build outs of buildings and all kinds of things. There's so many other Kane County standing committees that deal with that, as well as offices. We're just not equipped to change the focus of this commission into that broad area anyway. And so that is a major change that is going to be proposed when we submit this final ordinance for your consideration and vote. That relates to the next subsection, which is still on that page 3, renaming the commission. We take out that strategic planning language. So we will just be as we originally were, the Judicial and Public Safety Technology Commission. Okay. The last major change I'd like to bring to your attention is on page 4, adding section 12, which deals with our meetings. We have a quorum today, and so we're able to set our meeting schedule for next year. But on prior occasions, I looked at our old minutes going back on various times. There were a couple of times when we didn't set those meeting dates and they just sort of appeared. And so we really have to have a more stable mechanism to do that. And those changes in that newly numbered section 12 also reflect the Kane County positions where 1/3 of members can call for a meeting on different commissions and committees. And so it sort of mirrors that, and it sets our dates at a minimum of those quarters the second Thursday in those quarters. And then obviously more meetings can be called or more meetings if necessary, or meetings to be canceled if there is no business that needs to be addressed. And so we're adding that for convenience and being able to have something regular on this. Okay. Any questions so far about any of this? We talked about and we looked at reducing the number of members of this commission because 19 is a lot of people to have on a commission. But for various reasons, including the fact that justice managers, which are 5, that group that I explained before, the chief judge, state's attorney, public defender, sheriff, and clerk of the court, that 5 key group who meet on a regular basis, talk about matters relating to case management system, and they make their sort of recommendations as a whole to this commission in order to comply with the Open Meetings Act. We cannot go below 18 stated members. And so there may be a provision going down from 19 to 18, but we can't go below 18 to stay in compliance with the Opens Meeting Act. Okay, so a minimum of 18 this commission will be. Okay. The other thing that I talked to Mr. Ford about, we need to, and I don't know if Mr. Ford contacted IT about, Barb used to keep great records about who completed the Open Meetings Act training and who did not. But I don't know if any of that has been done since Barb left.
I don't think so. That's something that's up to the individual or the person who is participating in the public body.
Okay.
So I think we kept copies just
Right. I spoke with Mr.
record.
Ford and we are going to work on doing something for links to Open Meeting Act training and then getting copies of the certificate and having some way to keep track of that. And we're trying to figure out where that's going to be done from and making sure that it's documented and where we don't want to add necessarily a lot of work to anybody, but I think it's something that we need to keep track of and make everyone aware of. And so 2026, we're going to do more work and training on that. Okay. Any questions about any of that so far, or comments or discussion? Okay. Going then to new business. Our proposed meeting dates for 2026. The second Thursday of those quarters are January, April, July, October, 8th, 9th, 9th, and 8th, respectively. Is there a motion relating to the 2026 proposed meeting dates?
I would move to accept those dates.
Ms. Masser, is there a second? Ms. Barrero. All those in favor? Well, I'm going to call a voice vote on this. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Guys have it. Those are our meeting dates. Having said that, let me tell you, I'm going to see. I think it would be very productive for this commission and for the county board committee of the whole meeting to have everybody educated about our case management system. Years ago, actually it was probably pre-COVID, Roger, and we do have someone that is here from the clerk's office. Remember when we set up at the Judicial Center that station to show everybody how the case management system worked in-house? We had like stations and showed them how the case management system worked. I would love to have a presentation to the county board. We won't pick an actual county board member and run their name through the computer and look at their cases. But what we will do, I talked to the clerk, or I think Roger, we can do like a test case, and do like, the Hershey Doughboy or the
We have
Pillsbury Doughboy or something.
we do have a test environment that might be more suitable for doing like a public
Right.
run of this.
So
Yeah.
I'd love to do it from the point of the client or the individual whose case it is, from the attorney portal and what they get, from the public portal, if you're just looking up something as a general member of the public, and the judicial portal to see what the judge sees that you don't see on the court case, and what the clerks do and what they enter on it. Because that's everybody, you know, those are the people. And, you know, I'm not sure if we would do something as extensive as going back to sources of police and how they put in things and what happens to that, but certainly for what's available on the case management system. I think they would be a great presentation for a committee of the whole meeting, and it would be good for this commission. And so maybe we can work something out where one of our meetings, either in January or April, is actually held at the before or after a committee of the whole meeting, so that everyone can attend. And then if we have business, we could take care of it then. If not, it may be a whole separate thing for the committee of the whole. And I would hope that we can get our commission members there for your introduction and to have the experience of working on our case management system as well.
If I may, I would suggest that it's a separate meeting because the committee of the whole meets at 4:00.
Oh, okay.
So it
All
would
right,
be a
yes.
very long night.
Right. You're correct, Madam Chair. It would be. So we would have it. So this would be in addition. And I don't know if the committee of the whole schedule for 2026 is out yet. It probably, no, okay. So maybe we could see what would be available for things that are not yet scheduled or not regularly held programs already set. And obviously that would have to have something to do with the clerk and IT, because they would be the ones that would be making this happen in terms of the setup.
In our office, we have plenty of room. We have a large conference room that we project on the wall, and we have lots of computers already set up. We could try something there, but I don't know if we have access to everything, so.
Well, I don't know logistically I know that the committee, I don't know if there's ever been a committee of the whole meeting held off site from this boardroom.
As long as it's publicly notified, so that other people from the community can attend, we can have it offsite.
Okay. Well,
Just-
well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
This is Roger again. So just one thing, if you have the meeting off-site, many of the problems related to microphone audio and broadcasting it to Zoom will probably be unavailable, just so you're aware. It would be a meeting where you just have the people in the room doing, you know, more of a traditional meeting before all of this wonderful online YouTube streaming stuff existed. So you do it here. We have capabilities. I don't know that we could reproduce that there
Okay.
for 24 board members, a chair, and, you know, all the AV.
Is,
Right, well, as long as we could do something to at least show them the experience of looking things up on the
Yeah.
computer. If you can, if you're saying that you can set that up here with the assistance of the clerk, then I'm sure this will be a good spot.
Some of it might be like screen views of things that are staged, as opposed to having a user interactively doing it. That kind of begs the question of who has access to, you know, so we need literally a state's attorney, a public defender, we need a court clerk, we need a person from a judge, we need, you know, so those are the types of things. If you're going to really drive an example, we don't have just kind of general access. It is compartmentalized into those areas. So even the testing, a lot of it is. We have testing people in each office that do their respective testing. So,
Okay,
It's kind of like voting. You're in a little booth.
okay.
yeah,
and I don't believe that the access to the public has to be Zoomed. I don't believe that that is mandated, that we have
No.
to do that at all. As long as we give due notice of where the meeting is going to be and public is invited to attend, obviously, we got Open Meetings Act. So I don't think that there'd be an issue if you choose to do it offsite.
Anything else about this issue and what we should be thinking of in terms of maybe having this particular program? Okay, yes, Monica.
I would be interested in wanting to know if you want to show some of the integrations that have been built, because if you want to go as far as some of the integrations that have been built, because I think IT has done a good job with doing the integrations that we're using within our system. And we outshine a lot of other places out there and a lot of other states with what we're doing with Odyssey and the integrations that we have going on. And even the integrations and being able to share some of the data even between
Yeah.
with the state's attorney and with public defender, and integrations that we're doing from the police officers from their squads. So I don't know if you're really just wanting like public access, like kind of view, or if you're really wanting us to kind of show the benefits from the software or how we're using it kind of deal.
How long are the committee of the whole meetings generally, Madam Chair?
Oh, an hour and a half.
Okay. I would think that within that 90-minute period, we can talk about and show them a lot of the really unique and very good things about what we do that are unique to Kane County. I'm not sure there's anybody else in the state that does what we do with orders of protection. Is there anybody else sending it? And now, certainly, I think we were probably the first, weren't we? In getting them to the sheriff directly. You know, when an order of protection's entered in our county, that order is transmitted to the sheriff's office electronically.
Most of the jurisdictions around us have that now. They have an online order protection system that does it. I'm sorry, I have to go to another engagement. I just wanted to tell everyone, I'm sorry, that's why I'm running.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. But you know, that is important for, I think, the board to be aware of that. Part of what the system does that is very unique, and there is so much that is, like you said, not available on other systems, and what sets us apart. That's why when you hear that there's backlogs of thousands of orders of protection for service in Cook County, I don't believe they are electronically transmitting their orders. Those are hard copies, if I'm not mistaken, that they have to transmit from court to the sheriff. And so there's delays and it doesn't get done. So, any other new business that anyone has that they would like to bring up? Okay, hearing none, as to the reports that have been made or entered on today's date, which really specifically are the budget reports, which have been reduced to writing, the to-date budget reports. Is there a motion to replace those reports on file? Ms. Barrero moved. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, Mr. Felton, was that you or Mr. Wallers? Wallers, thank you. I'm going to call this for a voice vote, not a roll call vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. The reports are placed on file. No executive session is needed. As to adjournment, is there a motion to adjourn today's meeting, 5 p.m.?
Roth will make a motion to adjourn.
Roth moved. Is there a second? Here, voice vote again. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you